So I've been criticized in my past videos for presenting my points in a convoluted way and repeating them too often. And that's a good criticism, they're right. So here is a concise version of my beef with Oxyhorn. Anata kerido Oxyhorn, anata wa bukimi nara yo. Otoshi wa nada. Ohikari nashi hasuro yo no ni nada. Oho! Anata wa nisakishikisimasu ka? Koko kara anata ni figaro. Totero koto ga takimasu go. Anata wa watashi ni chikotazumasu. Anata ga suki ni mano. Subete ni afrago sukiru. Anata wa watashi yo torizunuko koto wa dekamisu. Watashi wa therapist no. Wa no desu. This one's completely just my opinion, but Oxyhorn gives me serious creeper vibes. He extends his words just a few moments too long, and always seems like he's trying to sell you something, even when he's not trying to sell you something, which is rare because he's always trying to sell you something. Take, for instance, this cringy video in which he talks about classiness, porn, and masturbation.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I would take this opportunity to comment on a new blog post that I've just written, Oxyhorn on teprons, or the porn for those of you who are not leet-speak educated as the rest of us. Fine, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one thing I want to cover before I get into this sensitive topic, which I know will probably cause many people's blood to boil, while other people will be level-headed about it, is that when it comes to classiness, classiness nature of there being class means that there are others that do not have class. Not everyone can be classy. Classy is a distinction. A classy person is at a different level than the unclassy person. I also want to say that class has nothing to do with morality or ethics. Class is something different than all of those. It's not saying this is right or wrong. It's simply saying that classy people act in this way. Unclassy people act in this way. I do have distinct moral and ethical views about porn, but I don't want to bring those into this discussion. That's for something completely different. I don't think that talking about ethics and morality when it comes to porn is an effective argument towards people who don't really share the same ethics or morality that I do, right? So therefore this argument has nothing to do with morals and ethics, and instead has everything to do with manliness and class, which are completely divorced from morality and ethics. And I apologize ahead of time to those who may be a little bit squeamish at the word sex. It's naughty. I understand it's a naughty word. I don't tend to use sex very often, but in this discussion we will be talking about adult topics, sex, and so it behooves us all to handle this stuff responsibly. We will be using words such as sex and masturbation. Oh, that came out rough. And of course pornography. I used this analogy in my previous video, but I'll use it again. If you see a starving man looking through the glass of, say, a food store, and he is lusting after a carrot, or a slice of bread, or a tomato, what do you feel? Do you feel pride or satisfaction at this person? Do you sit there and say, my, look at that guy lusting at that tomato. That fellow is one dude. No, you actually have empathy and pity for the guy. He is pitiful, not in some sort of negative pejorative, but pitiful in the actual sense of the word. It invokes or evokes pity in the viewer. You pity the man who is so starving that he would rather sit there and lust after food through the window, lust after the image of food instead of finding ways to satisfy his real hunger. Similarly, those who watch porn and engage in manual manipulation, I'm not going to get into that too much, but those who engage in such activities are in essence pitiful from the perspective of an animal that has evolved from a protozoa. Animals don't run around and look at other naked animals and get their jollies that way. They really don't. That's really something that is only in mankind. You're not going to find badgers lined up to buy the latest issue of Badger Boy or whatever. Play Badger? I'm not sure.
Animals don't watch porn. They do suck their own dicks and use frogs as improvised fleshlights. Would it be more classy to hire a prostitute to slob your knob? In another video that he made, which seems on the surface to be a joke. He uses World of Warcraft machinima to make a character that looks like an idealized version of himself, and has an argument with a council of people about the existence of an invisible pink unicorn. The argument is clearly a parody of a Christian versus an atheist, with Oxyhorn representing the Christian and the council representing atheists. Oxyhorn argues with a number of atheist strawmen as each one is slowly murdered after debating with him about the existence of an invisible pink unicorn. And this would almost seem like a funny parody until you realize that Oxyhorn is actually a pretty devout Christian, and this was really just a way for him to have a debate with himself about his beliefs on the existence of God, with each of his detractors dying afterwards. With that context, the video kind of loses a sense of its fun nature.
Look, I can't prove that it exists because there is no proof. I'm only trying to say that my faith in the invisible pink unicorn is reasonable, logical, and should be treated with some respect.
How could we not be contemptuous? How can I refrain from calling you a fool? First you claim that there is a creature out there that created everything we know, but happens to conveniently be invisible. And then you go on to further qualify this invisible creature with the aspect of being pink. How can you claim that this invisible unicorn is pink when you have not seen it for yourself?
The unicorn says he's pink. I don't have to see his pinkness to believe it.
And that is precisely why we call you a fool. It is foolishness to have faith in something that has not been proven to exist. Before I ever believe in the existence of this invisible pink unicorn, I will need some pretty convincing evidence.
Moving on! This video in particular is probably the video Oxyhorn wants to hide the most. This is the video Oxyhorn does not want you to see, and it's just him in his car filming a group of young people who could be anywhere from their mid-teens to maybe early 20s, and he's laughing at this girl because she's in an outfit that shows a lot of skin and she's not very fit. Oxyhorn, being the classy man he is, jokes about how she's some horrid Chung-Li cosplay and giggles to himself, all while being very careful not to get caught filming them because that would look really creepy. Some fat fuck dressed like a turn-of-the-century snake oil salesman in his car filming kids. It's not the best optics.
This is what happens when you have too much personality. Ah! Alright. Recovery mode. Must recover. I just don't think I can take much more. Oh, that's just, it's like a evil Chung-Li or some sort of deformed cosplay. Oh, why? I don't know. One more and out. All right, we're done.
If you watch his videos carefully enough, certain aspects of the mods he adds seem just a little off. Like the time he showed you how to make a raider prison and all the prisoners in his settlement were women. Porn isn't classy, but having a virtual dungeon with a bunch of women tied up in it is just the epitome of manliness. It's not a big deal, like, who, you know. It just seems weird to intentionally make that happen in a game. Not all the raiders are female in Fallout. That requires some extra additional code. And you'll see the additional code he likes to add later. We'll get back to some of this. Remember that video we just watched where Oxyhorn states that porn is unmanly and unclassy? Besides the point that a lot of his argument doesn't really make a lot of sense, he goes back and forth between using animals as an example of something that doesn't watch porn, but then trying to say that we have to be manly and not like animals by resisting pornography. I'm not really here to discuss whether porn is classy or not. I don't really care what your opinions are on porn. It doesn't bother me. You can watch porn or not, whatever. It does bother me though when you put forth a nonsensical argument that can easily be taken apart. But the irony of this whole thing is that Oxyhorn was caught using nude mods on Fallout 4. In his Nuka-Cola video, as the raiders approach him, her bare tits are exposed for everyone to see. I sure don't remember that in my copy of Fallout 4. So, in which way is this not some form of porn? You went out of your way to download and install a mod that puts nude models into a game that previously didn't have it. Hey, you guys watching porn of real women, that's gross and unmanly. But me with my video game with virtual titties modded onto it in a dungeon full of tied up women, that's what men do.
Them to send you tributes of food, caps, and water, while sitting on your them to send you tributes of the classiness.
Later in the video, he says you cannot be a man while being a slave to drugs. All the while, he's been smoking and drinking whiskey the entire video. And he's been making videos in which he drinks and smokes for almost 500 episodes, spanning the time of many years. These videos are also primarily viewed by children. These kids will watch him and think that being a man means that you sit on your fat ass and you smoke cigars while slamming scotch and judging others for watching porn.
If one wants to be classy, if one wants to be manly, he masters himself. He is not a slave. I don't mean slave in the way that many people think of slavery. I'm talking about slavery to a substance. Those who cannot stop taking drugs are slaves to drugs. They are not men. They have not mastered themselves. They have not become masters and owners of their own wishes, desires, and actions. They are in effect slaves. And it's the same thing when it comes to pornography and masturbation.
All these things, smoking cigars, dressing like a steampunk nerd, drinking whiskey, judging others for watching porn, and preaching about class doesn't make you a man. Being a man, at least to me, is when you decide, put yourself aside, and put the well-being and needs of others before you. You are a man for taking care of your child, Oxyhorn, and supporting your family. Boys become men when they go to war, risk life and limb for their country. They become men when they decide to raise a child and put them first, and themselves second. The shallow, superficial reasons you list off have nothing to do with anything but your own ego. Not saying you're not a man, but I believe your definition of one is off. Just having self-control and denying yourself certain things isn't good enough. That is just a pathway to healthier behavior, and not everything Oxyhorn says I disagree with. When he talks about those who continue to watch porn even after they cease to have any satisfaction from it or pleasure, I agree that if you have an addiction to something, you should seek help or make an honest attempt to help yourself. You should try to wean from that crutch. But he conflates watching porn with porn addiction. So because you drink Oxyhorn, does that make you a raging alcoholic? Do you need to poison yourself to enjoy life? Or does everything have its time and place? I would say a man who supports his family, works hard, and every once in a while jerks off to porn is still a man. As the old phrase goes, those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. You're there, obese. You're kind of past the point of chubby, buddy. You're obese, and you're smoking cigars, and you're drinking scotch, and you're judging others who claim are slaves to drugs. I don't know what your diet's like, but it can't be great. I don't use any tobacco products myself. I think they stink and they make me feel sick. They give me little enjoyment, but if you do, that's cool. But by your own logic, could I call you a slave to tobacco? And does that make me more of a man than you because I don't smoke? And I'm kidding, of course. Like, I'm just trying to make you see the faulty standards in which you're applying to the title. It's not my place to decide who is a man and who is not, but I find it funny that you can't see that you're smoking and sipping on 2 drugs while criticizing people for using drugs. One last note on Oxyhorn's hypocrisy is that he filmed a girl who likely wasn't even 18 for the sole purpose of uploading it to the internet so that him and his followers could make fun of her appearance, which many would argue is bullying. And I don't care if you bully a little, whatever, I definitely do my own share. It would seem if that's something you do publicly online, you wouldn't go and have another channel terminated for bullying you. But alas, you had Logical Fallacies channel flagged and terminated for bullying. On his Discord, he acknowledged the video of him filming the girl was real, and he was ashamed of it. But he also lied and said it was over 10 years old, when you can use the Wayback Machine and see that it's at most maybe 7 years old at this time today, less when he had that Discord conversation. He has never publicly apologized for this. Instead, he tries to hide it. And this brings me to my next point. Oxyhorn has been abusing the copyright DMCA on YouTube for a while now, and it's for the same reasons that most users abuse the flagging system. These videos make him look bad. The most common one that will have your channel striked is the one of him filming the girl. He seems especially ashamed of that one, but not enough to acknowledge his fault in the situation. He had a channel terminated by the name of Errol Aikman, who I'm pretty sure was no more than a fan of his that mirrored Oxyhorn videos. The channel at this time was likely ghosted anyway, so there's not really much lost. But then he went and striked Thomas Beckett, which is Logical Fallacies' new channel, for nudity and had the video taken down, which is funny because there's really no nudity in the video. He then striked ZY, which is some German guy who also makes critical videos of Oxyhorn, for copyright for uploading the same video. He then went as far as to have Mediafire take down Logical Fallacies' backup video, which this video was clear fair use. It had commentary and editing over the majority of the content. To do such, Oxyhorn had to go as far as to sign his name and address on the copyright claim. I'm obviously not going to share the address with you, but it shows the lengths this guy will go to cover up criticism of him. Not only has he gotten Mediafire to pull down videos that expose him in a negative light, he has gone as far as to ban his old blog posts from being archived in the Wayback Machine. I didn't even know this was possible, but apparently, if you own the domain, you can prevent the Wayback Machine from archiving your webpage. What were these blog posts, you ask? Well, Oxyhorn had a blog titled his Manly Festo, in which he discussed a range of topics like how homosexuality is immoral and akin to incest. He preached about Christianity and claimed other religions to be false. But his most egregious act of DMCA abuse is probably the strike on Simon Mercer. He strikes Simon Mercer's channel for a clip from a live stream where someone in the chat asked about Logical Fallacy. He then strikes Simon again for uploading his reaction to Bethesda's announcement of Fallout 76, which is funny that he can claim ownership of a video where 80% of the screen is Bethesda's video and 10% is him in a corner reacting. Then he attempted to deal the final blow and have Simon's channel completely terminated by striking it for a third time on an expose video Simon did of him. Unfortunately for Oxyhorn, this one was heavily edited, including commentary from Simon, so it was clear fair use, and YouTube stood on the side of free speech and denied the strike. All of these strikes were signed by Oxyhorn himself, with his real name, Brandon Dennis. If you don't know how the striking system works on YouTube, commonly they will ask you to sign your name when you strike a video so that you're showing some sort of good faith and that you believe you own the content in the video. Simon, by the way, is 16 years old and took down the video by his own choice. He says the reason for this is that he was receiving a lot of harassment from Oxyhorn's fans. Which leads me to my next point. Oxyhorn's fans are locals. I can't figure out if they're in elementary school or adults with unfortunate disabilities. I'll just read you some of the responses that I've received. You're just an asshole looking for a reason to hate something other people like you really need to grow up. This video, this channel, and these comments are exactly what Oxyhorn's talking about. Toxicity. The toxicity of the city. Fallout 4 captures the spirit of the Fallout series. Ashole? Dude, Oxyhorn is right here. There's no need to make fun of him. Fuck you. This is on the first response I did to him in the offense of Fallout 4. I didn't even actually make fun of him in that one. I just responded to his opinion. 619 subs and only 300 likes. Maybe I'm on a limb here, but it could be that about half your subs are bots. Press F to doubt his story. Okay, well, for one, it's press X to doubt story. Press F to pay respects. Learn your fucking memes. Two, when this video was released, I had less than 100 subs. You know, there's this thing you can actually check your analytics. Oxyhorn is my favorite YouTuber, okay? He just wants to tell people his opinion, okay? Leave him alone. I think there should be another okay there. But it's not that he just wants to share his opinion. He wants to share his opinion and then flag your video so you can't share yours. A little different. There's a lot of these comments, and most of them are kind of boring. I'm not going to read through all of them, but I'm going to read you a couple of my favorite from the same guy. Kind of contradicting when you harass someone who you claim to be a predator and homophobic. If you defend those who are, there's a difference between stating a lifestyle opinion versus harassing and bullying someone who is a real person behind the screen. Alright, well, I'm going to try to address that one in the best interpretation I can of what is a very liberal use of the English language. But I didn't claim him to be a predator or homophobic. I acknowledge that other people are claiming that. And I acknowledge that there are people who are going to criticize him for that when he says that he doesn't believe in gay marriage and that he thinks it's like incest. There are going to be people who are going to call him homophobic for that. That's a fact of life. If you don't like that, I don't know what you can do about that, who to complain to. That doesn't mean that's what I called him. I acknowledge the situation. You can have your fucking opinions. I don't care, again, what your fucking opinions on gay marriage are. Personally, I don't like to interfere with people's lives as much as possible. I just really don't give a fuck. He comes back and he says, our kind will not stand back because sadly we do not have the pure that's supposed to be patience, I guess. Oxyhorn has, and we will defend the good man and wee man in the world. Go against your childish and evil ways. Oxyhorn's fans, for the most part, accept his behavior more than he does himself. At least they're honest about what you are, but they don't care. That's why you should just publicly acknowledge it instead of trying to censor anyone who talks about it. I mean, look at the comments on Thomas Beckett's videos. These are your fans. They love your shitlording. They think you're based as fuck. Oxyhorn's awesome. Why you hating? Why should I give a shit if he hates gays? It's his opinion. Awesome. Who gives a shit? Shh, it's okay. You know, he's better than you in every single way, so stop vomiting words and watch all his vids, so shut up, you're mad he's got more subs than you. Piece of shit, that's you, Thomas. Porn mods are great. When I was 12, I wanted to fuck the shit out of bitches. I sought it out. In reality, deal with it. If anything, killing is a vice they should censor in the face of children. Wow, you're gay. I know why you're against Oxyhorn so much. It's 'cause he's white, isn't it? If I did more research on you, I'd probably find out that you're far left-leaning and that you hate all white people, and even if you yourself is white, and you want all white people dead as well. Oh, wow. Just that if you talk to Logical Fallacy or Thomas Beckett, he'll tell you he's a Trump supporter. So, I don't think he hates white people. Fuck off, it's not homophobia, he's not afraid of gays, nor is it irrational. It's a normal response to behavior uncharacteristic of humans. Die in a hole. This is your fans, man. They're awesome, they're fucking shitlords. Fucking, you dropped a bunch of red pills that day, Oxyhorn. You know, and there is a few fans who make like decent arguments, who admit like they're gay and they just don't care about his opinion, which is kind of like rifle. And I don't give a fuck what he thinks, but I do care when he tries to censor criticism of him, because if you have opinions that, it's not like these were his opinions, he was just thinking in his head, maybe writing down in his journal, and someone broke into his house and found the journal and exposed it. No, this is shit that he put on blogs. This is shit that he did in videos. This is stuff he put out on the internet himself. He did it. No one forced him to do it. And then he acts like a little bitch when people respond to it and people disagree with it. Oh no, cry me a goddamn river. He did this to himself. This is the shit he put out there. That's the fucking internet. You think he'd be flagging these people if they were stoked about his opinions? If they're like, look at this is awesome, I agree with this guy. Go back to your hug box. Don't post shit you don't want people to respond to. I originally was what you could call a fan of Oxyhorn. I would listen to his videos while at work or making dinner. It's really that I'm a fan of Fallout. and he makes a lot of Fallout content. So naturally, I enjoyed it for a while. I first was taken a little back when I watched his In Defense of Fallout video where he essentially declares it wrong and toxic to criticize the game. This was the start of me beginning to recognize a pattern. Whenever he has a strong opinion on anything, he makes arguments that are extremely surface level based on a shallow perspective of his own morality, and usually will try to boil every conflict down to some kind of black and white good and evil. In my response video, I even say that I'm a fan of his. At the time, this was true. The more I watched though, the more often I found myself clicking off of his videos out of sheer boredom. A lot of his content is him just playing the game, reading the dialogue that you likely have already experienced yourself, being that you're likely a Fallout fan if you're watching his videos. In between him basically doing a heavily narrated Let's Play, he's constantly trying to hawk his merchandise. Merchandise that would appear to be infringing on Bethesda's copyright, which is ironic given Oxyhorn apparently is very protective of his copyright, flagging every person that uses any clips of his, even if they are clearly fair use. But in the end, given Oxyhorn's actions, I don't believe he makes videos out of a love for Fallout. He uses the franchise and its fan base to make money, which he has stated several times before that his goal in life is to become filthy rich, which his fans will defend as his attempt to create a better world, which is not only cringy, but creepy. Watch Oxyhorn describe it himself. He comes off like some narcissistic egomaniac who wants to sculpt the world in his vision. This is the stuff supervillains are built on. And according to Social Blade and other sources, Oxyhorn is pulling in about $360 a day and is estimated to have a net worth of $500,000. So exactly how much money is he looking for to bring about this great change? And what exactly is this change? You're telling me this guy is trying to source hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Fallout community in order to bring about some great change in the world? Sorry if my bullshit meter is going off. I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to raise the money to nuke the world at this point. I'm joking. But if you believe he needs just another 100,000 and he'll be able to pull off his master plan, I think it might be a little naive. But if you actually are correct, I am actually concerned about what his master plan is and why he needs so much money for it. Is he gonna build a layer of doom? What is a weather control machine? What is he doing? What change? Just fucking donate to St. Jude's. I was trying to make the connection. All the pieces were there, but I couldn't find how they all fit together. I felt like a $2 hooker and Carl's Jr. trying to decide whether to get the chicken strips or the double cheeseburger. I've been following this case for almost 8 months now, and it's bending me over like Harvey Weinstein during a casting call. All these parallels are there, but could it really be? The similarities between Mundane Matt and Oxyhorn are uncanny. They both have been on the internet for a while, attempting a variety of video styles to try to garner an audience, and both have had a video come back from their past to bite them in the ass, which would lead them to flag and censor anyone who talks about it. Mundane Matt with his Polly the Polar Bear video where he says the N-word, and later flagged the kill stream when they attempted to stream about it, and of course Oxyhorn filming the overweight teenager and flagging Simon Mercer and Thomas Beckett for making videos criticizing him for it. When Matt was accused of flagging the videos, he said he was out collecting boulders. And when Oxyhorn was accused of bribing Keemstar, he said he was away from the office. Both of these excuses seem strangely irrelevant, as if people don't understand that you can flag videos from your phone, and you can also discuss an exchange of money from your phone. Both of these things you can do almost at any point in the day. They seem like silly excuses. Mundane Matt shilled for the new Star Wars movies while shitting on the fan base and was deemed a shill by said fan base. Oxyhorn has been shilling for Fallout 76 while shitting on the Fallout fans who dare to acknowledge its lackluster release, and is slowly being recognized as a shill by the fan base. They're also both obese mid-30-year-olds with high-pitched voices who make boring content, and lots of it, while constantly trying to get you to give them money and ramming as many ads as possible on their videos, who also have both recently gotten married and had a child. A lot of people want to know what I want from Oxyhorn and why I bring these things up. What I really want is Oxyhorn to not flag videos anymore. If he feels that these people are misrepresenting him, he should defend himself with his words and not use his clout as a large YouTuber to censor and terminate channels that criticize him. You don't have to agree with Thomas Beckett or several others who think that Oxyhorn is a homophobe or that he's a creep for filming an underage girl. This format allows multiple ways for you to voice your disagreement, but abusing the DMCA is not only lame, but it can get your channel terminated. As shown with your attempt to have Sinan's channel taken down, YouTube won't always side with you because you have a large subscriber base. Another thing people often ask me in the comments is why do I hate Oxyhorn or why am I jealous of him? I'm not jealous of Oxyhorn. In fact, I find it pretty cool that he makes a decent living off of making Fallout related content on YouTube. I just don't like that he calls the fanbase toxic and flagged videos biological for bullying. If you're going to make a living off the fans and put out opinions that call a portion of that fanbase toxic, you have to expect some kind of feedback, and you may not like how it's presented to you. In the same realm that you don't like people calling you a shill, they don't like being called toxic. But also, to that other point, I don't hate the guy. YouTube is not a secure job. You cannot count on this platform to provide for you your entire life. Very few will have that success with how much this platform changes in the attention span of the average internet user. He's achieved success, but not something that he can retire on, especially not with his young child. I feel for the guy. He's feeling the pressure of needing to provide for his family, and when he sees criticism of him, I think he interprets that as an attack on his brand. And an attack on his brand is an attack on his bread and butter. That's an understandable outlook, but it doesn't justify your actions. If you're worried about the security of your job, maybe you should work a job where that's not an issue. Maybe playing video games for a living is the dream of the bachelor, not the family man. I think one of his biggest fears is his opinions on homosexuality from his old blogs will be exposed to his fans. The climate in our culture has changed since those blogs were written, and many of his fans will feel alienated by his less than progressive views. They may, like many others, think of him as a bigot. Many have told me he likely has changed his views on the subject, but he has never publicly said this. And so, if he's never acknowledged his views have changed, why should I believe that? Why should anyone believe that? The only thing he has done is try to hide the evidence. Even in his streams, you can see clips of him that show discomfort with the same-sex relationship.
Jacob Skittles says, would you date me? No! What is wrong with you? I don't date men. I'm sorry. I'm taken.
Is that a man?
It's a man. Jacob Skittles. Why would you ask me that?
Wow.
You should be embarrassed and you should feel awkward. I hope you are ashamed of yourself right now. I'm just saying.
Who is that kid? Jacob Skittles?
I'm just saying.
Who is that kid? Jacob Skittles? Who is that kid? Jacob Skittles? Who is that kid? Jacob Skittles?
Jacob Skittles.
Oh, that
he's asking me out. It's not even right.
Taste the rainbow, guys. Taste the rainbow.
Wow, that's actually oddly appropriate. Joe Thomas says, Oxyhorn. Oxyhorn, any tips for somebody new to smoking cigars? Joe Thomas says, Oxyhorn. Oxyhorn, any tips for some... Joe Thomas says, Oxyhorn. Oxyhorn, any tips for some...
The best course of action would be to acknowledge it and stand by your views. And if your views have changed, I think people would be more than receptive of hearing that rather than you just trying to cowardly cover up your tracks. He may believe if he were to publicly acknowledge it at this point, it would just bring more outrage his way, which he might be right. But I think you as a Christian should realize you cannot run from your sins without repenting. Well, the internet has its own 10 commandments, and number 1 is thou shalt not flag videos that are clearly fair use. Best case scenario, Oxyhorn admits to flagging videos, apologizes, and swears to stand by the principles of fair use and respect other creators, confirms he has either changed his opinion on homosexuality or defends his previous views, and that his fans accept this, and he can continue to make content that provides him with a comfortable enough living to support his family, and I can go back to making videos that get a fraction of the views as these ones do. It's literally a win-win. Come on, Ox. Let's put this to rest. Or you could just keep doing the same shit, and I'll just keep milking it. 2 roads diverged in Yellowwood. I took the lesser one.
For as we all know, the French can't win at anything.
Oh.
I got an awe out of that. Wow, Sam Nichols says, does Ox have a long hair fetish? Okay, you need to calm down. So I'm not a guy for fetishes. You can't, you know. This is what the Bible says. That long hair on a woman is her glory, and a man's beard is his glory.
Is that what it says?
That's what it says.
That's what it says.
I'm going to go with what the Bible says. Thank you very
That's
much.
also the
As long
Testament,
as you
isn't
take
it?
care of your hair, it's
the old
not
one.
like
And I hope you feel bad about it. That's just the way this goes. So that reminds me, I just bought a new pair of socks. Mustaches and scotch glasses on them.
nice.
And I was going to wear them during the show today, but I forgot. So I feel really bad. But I will bring them next week and show them off to you. I'm just doing this as a public service to all fine gentlemen and ladies out there who are learning to be classy themselves and need tips. That is what I'm here for, and so I have mustaches on my socks. People who are defensive are usually ashamed.
That's true.
After all, I am a history major, and I know everything.
When it comes to classiness,